app ready just in case. And have your laptops ready for taking notes. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry we're a little bit late. I think Tokyo 2020 ran over slightly, but very good to be here. in person and seeing you all, despite all the issues we all have. But thank you very much, and thank you for your perseverance. The session you will have, if you were interested, you could have and would have followed it today. So I don't intend to give you a long, detailed list of everything that was discussed. You can see that was there. What you will have seen, and we can come to questions on all those issues in a minute, what you will have seen, however, hopefully, is a presentation by Kirsty Coventry, who's the chair of the Athletes Commission, the IC Athletes Commission. And we thought at this stage it would be useful, the outgoing chair of the AC, we thought it would be useful at this stage. Kirsty's been to the village, obviously is in touch quite regularly with a lot of athletes, so we thought she could give you a bit of a roundup of kind of the spirit of athletes. There was a video played today which I think was quite uplifting. A lot of the athletes, I know from my own personal experience of being in the village, are very excited about competing. So let's start there, and then you can ask Kirsty whatever you wish, and then you can also ask me whatever you wish. So Kirsty, without further ado, over to you.
Thank you, Mark, and good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. So yeah, the village is looking great. The athletes have been super excited. We've been hearing some very positive experiences from athletes. I must say, being a 5-time Olympian, walking back into a village under slightly different circumstances, it still felt like an Olympic village. And there's really nothing like that kind of experience. Athletes were and are just happy to finally be here in Tokyo. They're excited about the competitions starting. They are very excited about the beautiful venues. A lot of athletes had gone to training. We're coming back and having lunch. We're very happy with the food, very happy with the rooms, and very happy with the consistency, just all around, saying that everyone is just very helpful. Even if there were some athletes that maybe had a longer wait period at the airport, they just kept saying everyone was so helpful and kept coming to us and asking if we needed anything and if we were okay. And they really, enjoyed the experience so far. And as I said, they are very excited about competitions happening soon. At the end of the report, we showed a video that I'm hoping some of you got to see. It was tried to just ensure that we could share the moment with the members of the International Olympic Committee to show the enthusiasm of the athletes, and I think that video did that. So again, more than happy to answer any questions, but the feedback from the athletes has been a very positive one. And as a commission, we've received some feedback from athletes who are not in Tokyo, just who are more support to the athletes are here, and some family and friends from athletes that are here. Again, just saying thank you to the Commission and thank you to the IOC for their continued support in pushing to ensure that the athletes get here and that there's a safe games, and that they've only heard really good things from their athletes that are here on the ground. And a special moment yesterday was getting to meet a young South African athlete whose father was supposed to be in 1964 and wasn't able to be in those games. And so that was pretty special that he was now here competing, and again, super excited and enjoying the experience so far. So happy to take questions if anyone has.
Thank you very much, Kirsty. Okay, let's start. Apologies, by the way, it's always difficult with the lights, but also with the mask, it's almost impossible. But I think, is that Tarek? I can't see. Yes, it's Tarek, yeah. And then gentleman here. If you can come to the microphones and then kind of ask your questions, that would be great. Tarek.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Just ahead of tomorrow's session with Brisbane in mind, what is the issue, or can you clarify the role of John Coates? A lot of people think there's quite an obvious conflict of interest, perhaps, that the man who helped design the new process has ended up winning the Olympics for his own Olympic committee. Could you explain how that works and whether it's appropriate that he's been able to do that? Thank you.
I think there is. Clearly, I think there is. I mean, John is obviously a member of the executive board. He hasn't been involved. He's excused himself from any decisions, and obviously, conflict of interest is very important. We have a report about conflict of interest at the beginning of every executive board meeting from our head of ethics and compliance, and so. Yes, people within the Olympic movement are involved in various issues, whether it's a sport or whether it's an NOC issue, but we make sure strictly that they don't get involved with decisions. So.
I'm JJHOO from NHK. Question for Mark. Today I heard that a player of Uganda who has been missing was found and protected in Mie Prefecture. And I'd like to ask that whether the IOC has already confirmed that fact or not. And if yes, how is he going to be treated afterwards? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it's been confirmed to us. Like you, I read the reports. I understand he was not a competitor, but an alternate. But I don't have enough information to be able to give you a fuller answer than that. But we can come back to you when we get some more information. But like you, I had heard that, yes, he had turned up. But Liam, and then, yeah, I think that's AP there. Yes, yeah. Up you come.
Hi, Liam Morgan, Inside the Games. Kirsty, there's been another case in the village, this time the Czech beach volleyball coach, obviously we had a Czech beach volleyball player yesterday, test positive for COVID. What is the level of concern among athletes residing at the village, given these cases are cropping up quite regularly now? And one for Mark, if I may, on the IOC Ethics Commission. I mean, is it appropriate that the IOC membership elects the chair of the Ethics Commission? Given he may end up investigating them at some point. Is that good governance in action? Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. Well, I'm not sure it's fair to say that they're regularly popping up. But, you know, I think everyone is doing their best to ensure that it's a safe games for everyone. The protocols that everyone is going through. And obviously, if an athlete or a coach or an entourage member of the team within the village does, after coming into Japan, test positive, then there are actions that are taken straight away to ensure the safety. So yesterday when I was in the village, there was no concern from any athletes that they raised with me. They all were just sharing the excitement that they had and how they wanted to just get on and start competing.
Yeah, thanks, Liam. Two things to say on that, I think. Firstly, our ethics compliance there is external. So this is all stuff, by the way, that we do on top of what we actually statutorily need to do. So it's additional stuff. We actually benchmark against good corporate practice. And in fact, you'll be glad to know that the system that we have is approved. It's the ISO standard 33000, I think it is, but I would need to check the exact number. So we have the very highest level of governance on that. And of course, I believe, but maybe you have a different opinion, but I believe that the former Secretary General of the United Nations is hopefully beyond the influence of being influenced by people who appointed him. But obviously everyone on that committee is, or that he is beyond the sport movement, and that was the point of choosing him. But the most important thing is that we are at the very highest level benchmarked against corporate practice and with an ISO of ISO 33000, I think, but I will come back to you on that. Jacqueline and gentleman there, if you go different ways, that would be good.
Hi, Jacqueline Magnay from the Australian newspaper. This is a question to both of you, actually. Just recently there was an ARD documentary which showed how easy it would be to sabotage someone to test positive for banned substances simply by touching their skin very briefly. What's your reaction to this, and what do you think the consequences are for the anti-doping system?
Let me take that first. Yeah, obviously we saw that, and obviously for the detail and complexity of this would be a wider matter, but I believe in their statement, which you would have seen, if I remember, that they said that they'd obviously been aware that there can be, with a very small, limited number of drugs, the possibility, but they wanted to see some more details of it. But there is a statement from WADA, which is, I think, more appropriate for you to take than what I have. That's my recollection of what the statement said. Kirsty, do you want to add anything?
I don't really have much to add. It was the exact same thing. Saw and read the article that you're referring to, and then saw the WADA statement. So again, I don't really have any more information than what was said by the two, and they still are, I think both needs a little bit more confirmation.
Thank you. Graham, Graham Dunbar from AP.
Very much, Mark. It's a question about the Athletes Commission review of Rule 50 and the guidance that was last year and again in April that field of play was sacrosanct and no form of gestures that could be interpreted as protest would be allowed there. The Executive Board obviously changed that guidance this month, and tomorrow we're going to see more than a few women's football players taking the knee. What changed between April and July, and what would your message be to the women's footballers who believe they're doing the right thing and it's the right place to do it?
Thanks for the question. I mean, I think the main thing that hasn't really, I don't think it's changed, but I think everyone's just come to a better understanding of what athletes were asking. And from our survey, along with all the consultations that we had, what athletes were asking were for more opportunities to be able to talk about things that were important to them. With, as you said, the result of the last month and allowing for there to be athletes expressing themselves before the start of competition, my hope is that athletes will still respect each other and will live by our Olympic values, which are their Olympic values because now they are Olympians.
Thank you, Kirsty. I'm sorry to be a pain, but just to remind everyone, even when you're asking a question, can you keep your mask on, please? Because it's the rules. Yes, gentlemen.
Good evening, Hayden Johnson from News Corp Australia. You've got the Queensland Premier in Tokyo. What measures have been implemented to ensure she's complying with Japanese government quarantine measures when meeting with the IOC? And secondly, would you invite the Australian delegation to the opening ceremony?
On that, I would assume, I haven't obviously been involved with the coming of the delegation, but they will abide by the rules that we have, and they will abide by the playbook rules. For the opening ceremony, I don't know, I don't have an answer for that. I'll try and get you one whether they've been invited or not. It is, as you know, we are only inviting, or there are only people there with a role in the game, so I wouldn't be able to answer that particular question. I'll get you an answer, though. Yes, lady there and gentleman there. Yeah, please.
Great, thanks. Briar Stewart with CBC. I'm just wondering what your message would be for the Japanese public. I mean, we've heard that support for the Games is dwindling even further, and as competitions is set to get underway tomorrow, I'm wondering what the IOC's message is to the Japanese public who is not happy that this event is proceeding.
I think our message is that, we understand concerns. These are difficult times. But I think we'd like to reassure them again that everything is being done. I mean, today I think the latest figure is we've had nearly 30,000 tests at the airport of staff, and all those staff and athletes, all stakeholders. Each of those nearly 30,000 people has been tested twice before they even arrive. So all those people have had 3 tests, 100,000 tests. The level of testing, the playbooks, as you've seen, as we've all experienced, are not very easy to deal with, but it's important that we do all follow the rules. And I think we can give them a level of satisfaction that everything is being done by us to try and ensure that there will be safe and secure games.
And just to follow up on that, obviously all the restrictions and protocols are in place, but I'm wondering if there's any adjustments being made as you see how things go. And when it comes to restrictions and testing, are there any changes being made based on what you're seeing?
That would not be a question for the IOC or indeed for the organising committee, but that would be a question for the health authorities and for the government, and we would leave it to them to make any such judgment if there were going to be one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. This is Hiroki Tora from Asahi Shimbun. Quick question to Mark. Just to clarify about the announcement about the athletes who get tested positive. I know this is privacy, but could you tell us more about why the IOC decided not to announce the details of the athletes, and what will be the procedure will be when athletes unfortunately have to withdraw just before their competition? Thank you.
The first one I can answer. The second one is I maybe have to get you some detail on that because I'm not clear exactly what the full process is, and I think it's better that I get you the full answer on that. On the other question, it's quite simple. I mean, it's medical confidentiality, and that would be the same whether it was COVID or whether it was some other medical condition. We wouldn't release, and nor would normally it's the norm not to release names and identities of people involved in such situations. In terms of the exact process, I will, if you come to us, we will come back to you on that. I think it's better that I give you the correct answer.
Thank you.
Two people over here. Yeah, if you...
Hi, Coralie Fair from the AFP. It's a follow-up question about the Rule 50, about the procedure. There was no need for a vote of the session about the new guidelines provided by the Executive Committee. Does it mean that these guidelines could be changed anytime by the Executive Committee, for instance, before the Beijing Games?
So the guidelines will most likely not be changed before the Beijing Games, but also they're guidelines because, as we know, things can change very quickly. And as athletes, and part of what we heard from athletes is that they wanted there to be continual dialogue to be able to happen. So as we had said in the report, this was a first initial step, and we will continue engaging with athletes as we continue the journey.
Hi Mark, Daniel Sutton from Channel 10. Obviously a big day tomorrow with the start of competition. A lot of people in my country in Australia will not just be watching Australia take on Japan in the softball, but also the IOC vote on the 2032 bid. Can you just clarify the process a little bit for anyone who might be confused about it? It's essentially a one-horse race, right? Or is this just a big IOC rubber stamp? Does Brisbane have to work for this, or is it a done deal?
Brisbane has worked for this and has worked very hard for this. They're the preferred candidate, and they've been through a very, very long process and answered the questionnaires and answered an awful lot of questions. So they have worked very, very hard. This isn't a done deal because it's still up to the session to decide. They can decide to put them, if you like, back into the pot. There are a number of other candidate cities still interested parties, so that could happen. What will be decided, I will keep the suspense going for you, and you'll have to sit and watch tomorrow. But it's not a done deal.
Thanks, Mark.
Pardon, je suis un peu bête, mais je n'ai pas compris ta réponse. Demain, il y aura un vote de la session qui sera appelé à ratifier le choix de Brisbane, point final. Ou il y a d'autres
No, at the moment there is Brisbane, and the session will decide. Yes.
Ok, donc une seule.
Yes.
Ok.
Yeah. Apologies, Mark, if I didn't make myself clear enough. Yes, over here.
Karine Nishimura, correspondante de Radio France et Libération au Japon. Le gouvernement japonais, le comité d'organisation ainsi que le comité international olympique répètent toujours des jeux sûrs et sécurisants, safe and secure, mais jamais n'est donnée une définition de ces termes. Qu'est-ce que cela sous-entend en termes, par exemple, de nombre de cas, de taux de positivité, ou bien de transmission à un bénévole de l'organisation, ou encore de transmission détectée envers une personne de la population japonaise, une personne lambda? Est-ce que vous avez défini une sorte de standard, de norme pour dire ce qui est safe and secure?
Thanks very much. I don't think that it would be correct or wise for me as a spokesman to give you what I think the definition is, and I think it was almost impossible to come up with a single definition that would work. What I can tell you is that the one definition we do have, or the one issue that I've explained earlier, is that the amount of testing that is going on and the isolation and the playbooks are very, very strict indeed. Is there zero risk? There can never be zero risk, but we have reduced it as far as we think is humanly possible. As I said before, we're at nearly 30,000 tests at the airport of 30,000 people who've also been tested twice before they arrived. And then there are very strict playbooks for each client group, which they have to follow. And there, unfortunately, are consequences if they aren't followed, even if it isn't the fault of the person involved. And for that, we can only apologise, but we need to make sure that these games are safe and secure, and we intend to make sure that that's the case.
Thank you. Waka Koyuki from the Yomiuri Shimbun. One question each. Kirsty, could you tell us your assessment of athletes' mentality going through those rigorous testing? And of course, well, you have to be mentally ready for any, close contact judgments or, if anything, positive judgment. Your plan could all change. In a sense, what is the preparedness and attitude of the athletes from your point of view? And Mark, this faster, higher, stronger, together. And incidentally, a lot of Japanese Olympic education, for instance, has education textbook already saying that it's without together. Also, a lot of logos or curvings on even stones are there. What is your advices to not only to Japan but to the world of this motto change? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I think athletes, as I said when I was in the village yesterday, they're so excited that they're in Tokyo and they get to compete and live their Olympic dream. And for the majority of athletes, I believe that a lot of them have already had to go through so many different protocols at other events around the world in the last 18 months, as we all have. So even though the different protocols by the playbooks coming into Tokyo may have been a little bit extra in order to ensure the safety of everybody, they're just, again, happy to be here. And it was all well explained way before they came. They fully understood. We heard it at the 10th International Athletes Forum that athletes were just thankful for the playbooks because they could really understand and have enough time to prepare for the step-by-step. So to be honest, it's all been very, very, we're very positive from the athletes. They've really not had any negative comments around the protocols that they have to go through. And again, they understand the reasons why.
Thank you, Kirsty. With Kako, I think we are all looking forward to, and the athletes probably more than anyone, are looking forward to the competitions, looking forward to sport. faster, higher, stronger. I think everyone is looking forward to that. But I think the idea of the motto is that you're unable to go faster, to go higher, to be stronger without a team around you, both in sport and in life. And I think the Olympic movement and its values is not just about individual excellence, which is very, very important, but it's about the team that's around you, whether it's a medical team, whether it's your coach, whether it's your family or your entourage. And so I think I know that the idea to update the motto was to really understand that this is, in the modern age, we understand that if you, I think the saying is, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together. And I think, that is something, that the IOC is keen to stress, is that the value of solidarity is key. And solidarity is not just about having values, it's about putting those values into action. Everyone can take a stance on all kinds of things, and that's important. But actually, if you really want to do something, you have to work with other people to achieve that. And I think the strength, when the IOC and when the Olympic movement works properly and works at its best, it's when it works together. So I think that's the reasoning, I think, behind the updated motto.
Can I? Hello, my name is Matheus Najime from Surto Olímpico in Brazil. My question is, how can IOC and Athletes Commission oversees that all athletes are given a fair treatment in possible COVID-19 withdrawals or disqualification from every nationality, if it's a big celebrity or no, from a small country? How can you guys oversee that, and if there is a formal path to do this? Thanks.
Shall I take that? Or, yeah. I mean, I think it's probably also for you, but I mean, I would just say that in fact, the issue of fairness and level playing field is always difficult, and that's why we have the IOC in normal times has our solidarity program, because we try to level up that playing field and allow athletes from, let's say, less advantaged countries to at least try to compete and to compete on that playing field. Of course, no one's going to tell you that athletes from a certain country are going to have exactly the same as another country. And then to bring it up to date with what we have now, of course, these are very difficult times. These are very difficult times, and we are doing our best to make sure that the athletes all get a fair crack of the whip. Will we succeed 100%? It will be difficult.
May I just clarify something? My question is also in the case of COVID-19 positive case. Every athlete will be given same treatment, or how can you? If it's the IOC or Tokyo 2020 or some special.
Sure. Sorry. There is a playbook, obviously, for the athletes, which applies to all athletes. They all have to abide by those rules. And we really are asking them to do so. Do you want to add something?
No, I was just going to, I think I understood that on the first thing, and just to reiterate what Mark said, everyone will be treated exactly the same. It doesn't matter maybe how famous you are or not famous or which country. The rules are there to be followed by everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Is there? Yeah, and then there was someone at the back as well.
Hi, Mark. Steve Wade from Associated Press. The level of dissatisfaction with these games was expressed very clearly yesterday by Toyota, which is one of your biggest top 15 sponsors, which withdrew all its advertising, from Olympic-related advertising from Japan during the games. The spokesman said, and I quote, "There are many issues with these games that we're proving very difficult to understand. What is it you think Toyota can't figure out about these games, and why are these games so unpopular in this country, unpopular enough to have the biggest company, the representative company in Japan, your biggest sponsor, pull out of it, pull its advertising out?"
Thanks, Steve. I think, as I said, these are difficult times for everybody. I think, and I hope you saw the statement from us on Toyota yesterday. I can read it to you. Probably would be best. It says that we're very proud to work with Toyota, our first ever mobility partner. They became Toyota a worldwide partner in 2015. Have a long-term multi-games agreement through to 2024 to provide leading sustainable mobility solutions to Olympic teams and games organizers around the world. In support of the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, Toyota is providing sustainable mobility solutions, which I think you've probably all actually been using already, including hydrogen-powered fuel cell cars. If you went to the village, you would have seen all the work that they're doing. They'll transport the athletes, they'll transport you, the media, and the officials. Toyota aims to achieve the lowest emissions target level of any official fleet used at the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So that support is continuing. Obviously, I leave it to Toyota, and you quoted them there. But we're very pleased and very proud of our relationship with Toyota, and as I say, that's an agreement that runs through till 2024.
Question for Kirsty. In the United States, college athletes have been rallying and trying to gain more bigger financial share of the revenues from television and other revenue streams in college athletics. Is there any sentiment among athletes or among the commission that one day Olympic athletes will try to do the same thing and share in those revenues, directly share in those revenues that are being made on their backs?
Thank you. It's a good question. We already directly get huge funding from the Olympic Games through the different scholarship programs for coaches and athletes. I was one of those scholarship holders for many years. It's what allowed me to actually fulfill my dream of becoming an Olympian. So I've seen how the program really works. And so, I think what is happening in the US and NCAA, I swam for the NCAAs and saw that, and I think that there are slightly some different nuances to that. But again, we heard a report today during the session, and the budget that will be going towards Olympic solidarity and athletes has been raised. I think it was 25% or 27% directly for athletes. And just within the programs that the Athlete Commission are delivering directly to athletes from mentorship and career programs, it's all benefiting athletes in a way in which is done through solidarity. Everyone is treated the same. And I think that is something that our commission is very, very proud of.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, and you mentioned solidarity, I think that's exactly to the point. Without labouring the point, as you already know, the IOC redistributes 90% of its incomes, and it was $3.4 million every single day of our income that we redistribute. It's now more than that. The point is to try. We obviously want all athletes to be able to earn a living, to make money, but for us it's solidarity that's probably the most important thing, that money is shared around the world equally with all the athletes as far as we can, and that, I think, the together is actually a really, really key point in that. I think, yeah, okay, final question, I think it's Carlos there.
Hi, Mark. Carlos Groman from Reuters. You've talked about difficult times. We've seen the past year what has happened. How would you characterize the relationship of the IOC with the local organizers, be it the metropolitan government, the government, and Tokyo 2020? Thank you.
Well, sorry to disappoint you, Carlos, but actually I think it's a very, very good relationship with the organizing committee. These people are working under incredibly tough conditions, and I know the organising committee are working every hour that God sends them, and for that we thank them very much. Also our partners with TMG have been tremendously supportive and have been listening. And the government, it goes without saying that Prime Minister Suga has been very, very supportive of us. So we continue, and it's becoming a bit of a theme, but we continue working together to deliver these games as best we can. And I'm very confident that that relationship will only grow stronger as the games arrive and the games continue, and we get down to watching what we're all actually here for, which is some of the best performances of sportsmen and women from all around the world, from 205 national Olympic committees and the refugee Olympic team. So I'm looking forward to that. I know you are too. You'll have lots of other questions. I think I'm back with the President. I am back with the President tomorrow, so you can maybe have a chat with him as well then. So Kirsty, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you all throughout the coming few weeks. Thank you.